Hi, everyone, and to my friends who I messaged this morning and said, will you come to my big reveal? Thank you for being here and supporting me. I cannot believe this day has finally arrived. It has been 10 years in the making, at least. And hi, Nikki, Dr. Nikki. I'm just gonna kind of give a few minutes. Hi, Dr. Tina, to let people join if they want to join. Obviously, they can filter in when it feels right for them. Thank you both for being here. So finally, the big reveal. Let me start it this way. We all know, or those of us in the sacred feminine community know, that the feminine is rising. And we know this for many reasons. The rise of the modern feminist movements around the world, sacred discoveries like the discovery of the Gospel of Mary Magdalene is totally rewriting our understanding of Christianity. The discovery of Inanna, the sacred Sumerian goddess that is the one of my central myth models. We know this because at Çatalhöyük, we've discovered that there's a lot of evidence for goddess worship, and that maybe, just maybe, concrete evidence that patriarchy is not the universal system. That society was matrilineal and it was matriarchal. These are just a few examples of why the feminine is rising. And she's also rising in the collective consciousness. We're finally in the West, because she never left in some other societies. In the West, we're finally remembering the sacred feminine face of God. She is, and she always was, and she always will be. And the Sumerian goddess Inanna, she is one of the goddess zeitgeists of our current moment, who's helping guide the way on this path of the sacred feminine rising. And as we're seeing right now, which is so obvious in the culture, the way that the patriarchy, that these patriarchal worldwide systems are clinging for power and control for dear life. But she, in her own rising back into our collective consciousness today, Inanna, as she's been rediscovered literally from the ground in modern day Iraq, she has come back to help us remember the power and the presence and the necessary relevance of the goddess in our modern culture and in our modern psyches. And so I also want to make sure that people understand that when I talk about the collapse of patriarchy, this is not man-hating. As we navigate this sacred terrain, it is for the liberation of all of us. And so, as Inanna is one of my sacred myth models, I have been able to see in working with her for 10 years that she is the goddess whose myths are providing us the sacred template. Such an emotional process to be able to finally share all of this 10 years of work publicly. I've given you bits and pieces along the way. So she's providing us, her and other goddesses are providing us the sacred template to navigate this collapse toward our own collective human liberation, to dismantle the patriarchy. But what happens when we dismantle the patriarchy? How do we do it? There's a lot of stuff happening outside of us and a lot of conversations happening and finger pointing and where do we go from here? But what Inanna has taught me is that the dismantling of patriarchy is an inside job. She's taught me that we go within first, or simultaneously. We go within simultaneously, and we have to be brave enough to look at where patriarchy lives inside of us. All of us, men, women, children, because we teach it to our children. We teach our children patriarchal ways of thinking and behaving. And so through her own mythic repertoire and the evolution of her own mythology, we can see the way that the patriarchy has developed, and we can see the way that we can get ourselves out of patriarchy. And so when we do the internal job of investigating where patriarchy lives inside of us, we're going to get to the sacred reveal in a minute. Many of us have, but for myself, I can say I've begun to ask myself questions like, why am I willing to live in a state of constant burnout? Why do I tear down other women, even unconsciously, even when I'm not meaning to? Why, and this is a big theme that I discuss in my work, have I continued to see myself as a sexual object, projecting myself as a desire, or as an object of desire to men, to please the male gaze, rather than discovering and living from my own sacred sexual subjectivity? This is also a major theme that many women are talking about. And more importantly, why do I feel ashamed of my body and my period? So the period shame has been my portal to unravel this internalized sexism and the way that it lives inside of me. And so with that, I'm going to show you the big announcement. Ta-da! I know it's hard to see, but this is my book. This is my book, Sovereign Menstrual Power, Embodying Cyclical Generation with the Goddess Inanna. We had to work and rework the title, so this is what it ended up as. And it's available for pre-order now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and through my publisher, Inner Traditions. And there'll be a few other spaces, Simon & Schuster, and it'll be available in Europe pretty soon. And so what I want to say, in addition to this, the big reveal of the book itself. So this book was born out of my question. I call it the sacred question. What does it mean to be a woman outside of patriarchal enculturation? And when I finally got to that deep, dark, scary place, when that question arose, at first Mary Magdalene was my guide, and then Inanna came in to take me into a deeper experience of how to investigate that question. And I realized that I had to go within, inside of myself, and investigate my internal experience of womanhood to find the answers to that question. And right away, my menstrual shame became the guiding force, the portal through which I went on that path of discovery. And the linchpin moment for me actually was at a museum in Arizona, and there was the most incredible photo captured of a young girl, of any human really, but I mean in this photo it was a young girl. It was the most incredible photo I've ever seen, and you could see this contrast of the struggle and the radiance as she was struggling through what is the Apache sunrise ceremony. It is a ritual rite of passage for girls after they've started their period, and it's so sacred to their community, and it's celebrated by everybody, and it takes sometimes years of preparation, but it's such an honor to go through this women's rite of passage. And when I looked at her face and I could see again that struggle and radiance, it became so clear to me. I went back straight into my memory of my menarchal experience, which was, was confused. It was wrapped in secrecy and eventually shame. And I spent decades sitting with the shame of my body and menstruating. And so when I came to experience that shame firsthand, I realized that this was the path that I needed to take to understand what it means to be a woman outside of our patriarchal system. And so for me, again, Inanna is my myth model. She's my sacred guide, and I know she is for many of us, to really discover and uncover how to go from a patriarchal daughter to a sovereign woman. and how to identify these areas of internalized sexism, internalized menstrual shame, and awaken to the sacred feminine power that lies within. And that is the heart and soul of my book. I have a lot of historical sections, both on the history of menstrual reverence, the history of menstrual stigmatization and how that came about, and how that has a negative impact on women psychologically, socially, financially, biologically, and as a way to show why we, like the Apache, need a sacred menstrual narrative to revere menstruation and revere menstruating women at every stage of their lives, right? Because there's also a power when you get to the other side, which I touch on in the book. But anyway, so there's a whole section on Inanna, the history of Inanna and goddess worship, and the journey that Inanna went on from being a sovereign great goddess to a patriarchal goddess, and the way that I see she liberates herself from that and teaches us how to reclaim our sovereign wholeness. And I reimagined the Descent of Inanna myth as a sacred menstrual narrative. Didn't mention that part yet, but that's a big part of the book. So that's what I'm going to leave you with. There's also some writing prompts and original visualizations and ritual enactments that help you understand the sacred menstrual journey as something that can be embodied and lived. And so I am so thankful for everybody that's been a part of this journey with me and who will continue to be a part of the journey, and the new people that come along. Thank you so much. And to my friends that joined me today, thank you so much. I appreciate all of you, and just many blessings. Thank you so much. Bye. Except I don't know how to end the live. Okay.